Hello, I'm going to go through this science presentation with you. Our first page is Anticipation Guide. It says, read the statements in the Anticipation Guide below. In the Before Reading column, so that's here, drag and drop the red circles above on circle A if you agree with this statement, or D if you disagree. So our first statement says, elements and compounds form from chemically joined atoms. If you go up here, you can click on the red circle, and then, one second. And then you can drag it to either A if you agree with that statement, or D if you disagree with that statement. So that was statement number 1. Statement number 2 says elements are a pure substance, but compounds are not a pure substance. So drag and drop A if you agree, or D if you disagree. Number 3 says an element is represented by a chemical symbol, and compounds are represented by a chemical formula. Circle A if you agree, or D if you disagree. Our next slide says reading, elements and compounds. Atoms are the basic units of matter. Atoms join together chemically to form elements or compounds. An element is matter that is composed of only one kind of atom, such as carbon, silver, sulfur, and iron. Elements are pure substances and have their own characteristic, chemical and physical properties. Elements are represented by 1 to 2 letters called chemical symbols, which helps to identify their location on the periodic table of elements. So here is the chemical symbol for oxygen. Chemical symbols are represented using an uppercase letter H or an uppercase and lowercase letter together. Additionally, elements may have a small number immediately behind the symbol called a subscript, like O2. The 2 is the subscript, to identify the number of atoms of that element. So this means there are 2 atoms. 2 or more different elements chemically combine to form compounds. Like elements, compounds are pure substances and have distinct properties. However, the properties of a compound differ from those of the elements making up the compound. Compounds are represented by chemical formulas identifying each element present in that substance and may also contain subscripts like H2. Okay, this slide is explaining what you're going to do on this slide. So this one says, give me 3 summarization. The first fact from the reading is, the second fact from the reading is, and the third fact from the reading is. So you're going to use those 3 facts and go on to the next slide and create a paragraph summarizing those 3 facts. So right here is where you will summarize your 3 facts and create a paragraph. So you can click in here and it will let you type. Last, we have our after reading anticipation guide. So using the information you learned in the text, in the after reading column, drag and drop the red circles above on circle A if you agree, or circle D if you disagree. When you're finished, you can go back and compare it to compare your after reading to your before reading on slide 1. You can also go back and look in the text if you need to see if you agree or disagree with these statements. So number 1 says elements and compounds form from chemically joined atoms. Circle A for agree or D for disagree. Number 2 says elements are a pure substance, but compounds are not a pure substance. A for agree or D for disagree. And number 3 says an element is represented by a chemical symbol and compounds are represented by a chemical formula. A if you agree or D if you disagree.